with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Anthony, and we'll go ahead and get started this evening.
Thank you, Monique. Hi, everyone. Again, this is Anthony Chavez. I'm a policy manager. I've been doing education advocacy and community affairs for over 10 years now across California and the nation. And for me, I do this work because growing up in Bakersfield, growing up in the farm workers movement, we often thought about how we can be of service to others. And so as a young student, as I started visiting and sharing in more schools, I started to realize that for me, my cause or La Causa for myself would be about making schools better for students across California. So it's a real honor to be here with PIQE. I've worked with them in the past and really appreciate the work that they do for families across California. So we're really excited to talk with you all about expanded learning and what that means. Before I do that, just want to share a little bit about our organization. Monique and I both work at the Partnership for Children and Youth, as Adolfo mentioned earlier. And at PCY, we are a policy, advocacy, and capacity building organization. We've been doing this work for over 20 years. Actually, it's going to be our 25-year anniversary this year. So for a quarter of a century, we've been helping families, organizations, and school leaders to support and educate children who are the furthest away from opportunity. So again, really, really honored to be here. I got a chance in preparation for the webinar to actually look at PIQE's family needs assessment. And we noticed that some of the things that are very important to you all parents and to families that are part of the network is the importance of school safety, thinking about the social and emotional well-being of your children, also thinking about where those school and community partnerships are at, and making sure that you have access to affordable and reliable childcare, as well as enrichment opportunities. And that's really what we're here to talk to you all about today, as Adolfo was mentioning. And uh, we'll be talking again about expanded learning, and we'll talk about some summer programming, and then we'll share with some resources that we've developed to try to help out parents across California. And then Monique and I could try to answer questions at the end of our presentation. So before I start to talk a little bit about all the information on this slide, I think what's important to know is that when you hear expanded learning mentioned at your child's school or at a school board meeting or function, you know that expanded learning means after school and summer learning programs and opportunities, and vice versa. When they're talking about after school and summer learning opportunities, that you know that that means expanded learning. That's really the most important thing that I think you all need to make sure that you know today, because with that knowledge and with that information, you could go in and you could ask about these programs and these services that are available for your children. And so now we'll talk about what are those programs, who are they made available for? So as Adolfo was mentioning, expanded learning requires that every school district and charter school provides summer and after-school programs for transitional kindergarten, or TK, through 6th grade. These programs are focused on serving students who are English learners, low-income students, and students who may be in the foster youth system. These programs have to run for a total of 9 hours a day, and they must run for at least 30 days throughout the school year. 30 non-school days, that is. So that means that also they need to be operating during the summer months as well. Again, California has been spending a lot of time trying to get money and resources and these opportunities to students who need them most. So if you're in a school district where there are large numbers or high concentrations of students who are English learners, students who may be in low-income families or in the foster care youth system, those school districts actually get about $1,000 more to run these programs. And I think the last thing to note here is that these programs are built around being very flexible so that they can be there to support families and the needs of families. So what are these programs? Um, these programs are really about creating those trusted community partnerships. Um, they're about serving young learners and even doing so in collaboration with newer programs that California is trying to operate, such as universal pre-K or transitional kindergarten. Um, I think what's also really exciting is that for the money that California gives to school districts, if that money isn't used, let's say in Palm Springs, what California is doing right now is California is taking back all of that money and making sure that it's going into all of the communities that are using that money and that need that money. So right now we're hearing that some school districts who may not have the highest numbers of low-income students or English learners are about to receive some additional funding to do even more programming for students and families in those communities. So it's a really exciting time for this program now that it's actually about 4 years in operation. So again, expanded learning, what does it look like? It looks like before and after school programs. In some school communities, there's even the option to leave your students off a little bit before school time where they can get breakfast and get some time with safe and caring adults, as well as doing a traditional after school program. Expanded learning also includes summer learning opportunities. And there's another bucket that they call intersession learning programs. So those are programs that are happening outside of those time periods, but are still connected to the school community. Expanded learning is about focusing on social emotional development. It's also about academic improvement, and it's also about nourishing your young children by providing them additional meal, but also giving them time and space to play and to be children. And the way that all of this is done, it's done in close partnership with your local community-based organizations, and really those groups who are often being the place that are opening their arms to help out families and to take care of students when many of us have to be working or just don't have the time to make it to school as soon as we would like. I I think the other thing that's important to note about expanded learning is that expanded learning needs to be a little bit different than what school normally looks like. So expanded learning isn't supposed to be an extra hour of classroom time. As I was mentioning, it's a place where students also get a chance to play with their friends. Maybe it's a chance for them to learn about robotics or to learn about computer science and to learn about school topics in a new and a creative fashion. And really, it's about making it fun, making it a safe space for students to have fun with other students who are participating in these programs as well. So those expanded learning or those after school and summer school programs, they can be used for field trips. They can be used for science and creative arts programs. Those monies can also be used to train those caring adults to make them even better at the programs that they're providing. And those funds can also be used for things like sports programs and to have dance programs for your children. Down here in Palm Springs, where we're at a big conference, I just heard that even in the community of Fresno, California, there's even a boxing program where young kids can learn about the discipline of boxing and about some of the different techniques that students can use and can also enhance other aspects of their life. So there's a lot of really, really neat programs that this money can be used for. And that's why it's so important that you all as parents are speaking up and are talking about the types of programs that your children would really love. For instance, down here at the conference in Palm Springs, in some communities, they even offer a mariachi class where they're teaching students about the basics of mariachis and teaching them how to learn how to play those instruments. And by the end of the year, the students are putting on a mariachi performance for the parents and the community, which I thought was really, really cool to hear about. So as Adolfo was mentioning, and as I've been trying to remind us, right, expanded learning means after school and summer learning programs. And so why are these summer programs so important? Well, it's important because it makes sure that our students are always staying prepared for the classroom. It makes sure that our students don't lose some of those good lessons and those skills that they've developed in the year prior. It's also really important because it makes sure that students develop that sense of community and belonging that we know is so important for student participation and for student achievement. And most of all, it's a really great way to get your students out and to have fun and to learn about new topics that maybe they might not learn about in the typical classroom and in the typical school year. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because in many school districts already, summer learning programs have already opened up enrollment. So hopefully in your communities, you've started to hear about summer school and about summer learning programs, and you're starting to sign your students up. And if you haven't heard about these programs, then it's time for you to start asking your principal, to start asking your community liaison, to start asking your promotoras where these programs are at and how you can sign your students up. Because in many parts of California and in many school districts, these programs are being offered for free. Many of these programs are being offered for free or for very low cost. And so this is a great way to make sure that your students are in those affordable and safe, caring environments where you can get a little bit more support with the childcare during the summer months when we all still have to work. And so what's really important as you're learning about after school and summer learning programs is that you're finding out about the type of experiences that they offer, right? And so the best programs are going to talk about the safe and supportive environment that they provide your student. They're going to talk about how they're giving the opportunity for your students to develop agency and to develop more confidence so that they know the power of their own voice, like you all are learning as parent leaders. And they also know that they have options and they have choices and they can make decisions to explore the types of programs and opportunities that they're interested in and that are fun to them. It's also really important that these programs don't just make your kids sit at a desk and work on a computer all day, but there's also a component where they get a chance to play, they get to play outside, and they also get an opportunity to, as I was mentioning, have a school meal. This is another important aspect is that these programs also have to offer your children a school meal. And so that's one less meal that you as parents have to worry about taking care of. And I know that that could mean a big difference for many of us when we're running around trying to take care of so many things in our lives. So one of the things that I wanted to share, because many of you all live in some of the communities that are mentioned here on this website and around the Oakland area, or in San Mateo County, or around Santa Clara County, or Monterey County, or Los Angeles County, is that there's actually a website, there's multiple websites where you can go and you can find these programs that are available for you and for your children. And so when you go on there, you can find programs by searching on their map, and they can tell you about the types of curriculum that they're offering in these different places. So I'm going to share these links. And for those of you, again, that live in LA County, in Oakland area, in San Mateo, in Santa Clara County, and down in Monterey County, these are some programs, are some websites where you can go and you can find opportunities for your children. Now, our partner at In Play, they also work with a couple of other school districts that I think many of you work in. Unfortunately, we don't have a program website yet for Orange County. But if you look at the LA County website, what I noticed is that sometimes they even provide programs for sites that are just beyond LA County. So open up the website for LA County and you may find that there actually are programs in the Orange County area. And actually, what you also can do is you could talk to your school board members and you could talk to your principals and you could tell them, why don't we have a website like this for our community? Because this organization In Play is doing this across many communities in California. And the way that they'll do it in more communities is by having parents like you showing up and asking them, why don't we have a website that makes it easy for us to find these programs? So please use your voice as PIQE is teaching you to go out and to be strong advocates for your children the way that you already are being. But as I was beginning to mention, there are a couple of school districts that are working with In Play, not on a website, but they're developing a text messaging system where you can get uh, text messages to help sign your students up for these programs. So if you live in the east side of San Jose and Alum, there should be a program there that they're using. If you live in Fresno or Madera, there's a program there. And again, in Oakland and in San Diego, you can also be part of this program to sign up for text messages. And I appreciate the questions. Unfortunately, there are not websites yet for Rancho Cordova and for Imperial Valley. And that's why it's important that you ask for these websites and that you show them that they are available in other parts of California. Because right now, there is a lot of money that is being given. There is over $4 billion going to these programs across California. And so that means that school districts have money to set up these kinds of websites. And they know that their job is to make sure that these programs are available and are being used by the students and families who need it most. And if this is what you and your families need, then please ask for these types of opportunities, ask for these types of websites in your community. And that's what'll make the difference by hearing parent voices like you guys asking for these services. So again, as I was just saying, expanded learning is about meeting family needs. So what does that mean? It means that these programs, as I was sharing, they are affordable. They are made available for families who wouldn't otherwise be able to send their children to a tutor or to music classes, because these are programs that California knows are so important for our students to be happy, to be healthy, and to be successful. The other reason why these programs are important is because they know that many parents in California have to work really hard in order to provide for our families, and that many families do need a full day, not only of school, but of daycare and child resources. And that's why these programs are available. These programs are also available because California knows that student learning starts as early as 3 years old, and it's important that we get our students into pre-kindergarten and to TK. And unfortunately, these programs are available across the state, but in many areas where there is a lot of Latino families, they're not sending their students to transitional kindergarten and to pre-K as much as we should be. So hopefully, if you have a young student who is about to be in kindergarten, you're putting them into pre-K and into these transitional kindergarten programs because they are available for free and they have trained experts there who know how to work with young children in order to prepare them for the classroom. And as I was mentioning, because California cares so much about equity in the communities that have the most hardship and that are furthest away from the most resources and the best opportunities, California is giving more money to those communities to make these programs available for everyone. So please go back to your school and make sure you're asking your principal about expanded learning. You're asking them about after-school programs. You're asking them about summer learning opportunities, and you're asking them about TK. And that's how you'll make sure that you're getting the best of what's needed for your children and for your family, because these programs are also designed to make sure that they can really work well for working families, right? As many of us are. So we have a little video, and I'm gonna play this video, and for the translators, it's actually in Spanish. So hopefully the audio will be allowed to go through. But this is a video that's gonna explain a little bit about what we're gonna cover in the next portion of our presentation, which is focused on the family guide. And that's what Monique is gonna talk to us about. So I'm gonna go ahead and press play on the video, and we can listen to this video, and then we'll finish up by talking about the family guide.
Esto es lo que las familias necesitan saber sobre los programas de aprendizaje y enriquecimiento disponibles en este momento a través del Programa de Oportunidades de Aprendizaje Ampliadas de California. La pandemia fue emocional y académicamente difícil para los estudiantes. Fue especialmente difícil para los estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés, de bajos ingresos, sin hogar o enfrentan otros obstáculos.
No se escucha.
Entonces, a partir del 2022, el Estado comenzó a brindar $4,000 millones al año para apoyar a los estudiantes desde el kinder de transición hasta el 6º grado con oportunidades gratuitas de aprendizaje después de la escuela y durante el verano. El financiamiento de LOP hace posible que los programas estén disponibles antes o después de la escuela durante al menos 9 horas al día durante el año escolar y que funcionen durante 30 días cuando no hay clases, como el horario de verano. En muchas escuelas, estos programas ya están en marcha. Pueden incluir tutoría de alta calidad, clases de arte y música, actividades científicas y STEM, ligas deportivas y excursiones. Usted sabe qué es lo mejor para su hijo y es importante que interactúe con los líderes escolares y del distrito para comprender cómo se utilizan los fondos de LOP. Use su voz para ayudar a guiar cómo se utilizan estos fondos en su comunidad. Consulte la guía para familias de actividades después de la escuela para todos en California. Para obtener sugerencias que le ayudarán a hacer que su voz sea escuchada, escanee este código QR.
Okay, I see some people were
Esto
able
es lo
to
que las
hear, some people were not able to hear. We are going to share the video with PIQE, and they can share with the whole group. Also, you can visit our website and you can find the video in Spanish and in English, as well as this guide that we are presenting here today. This guide is called the Family Guide to After School for California, for all in California. And it is focused on families and for families to understand what the funding is, how it can be used, who it's for, and how you can ask questions for the guide, ask questions at school and ask questions for your district administrators, depending on your point of contact. So we noticed when the funding came out in 2021, one of the challenges was that families and parents were not getting the information, and so they didn't know about the programs, and so programs weren't being used. And so districts were not seeing people show up. Now, we decided to make a guide to help parents and families understand what this funding is for, and so you guys can take advantage of it for your children. So again, it is for children that are in TK grades, so turning 4-year-old by September 1st, all the way through 6th grade. And in some districts, the funding can filter over and can help students in middle school and even in high school in some districts. So you really just need to ask and see what's available for your children in your area. So we have very soon also, the guide is coming out in Mandarin, and there will be a video in Mandarin as well as English and in Spanish. Okay, good. Next slide, Anthony. Thank you. So this is a glimpse of what is inside the guide. As you can see, it will tell you again what expanded learning is, after school, summer school. It could be spring break, it could be winter break, any of those times that the kids are not in school, these programs can run, and it's up to your school district to decide. But each of them has to run every day that school's in session for up to 9 hours and at least 30 days in the summertime. And when it's program in the summertime, it's a full 9-hour day. So you might be able to drop your child off at 7 a.m. and come pick them up at 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening, which they will be, you know, involved in many different enriching activities. They'll be provided breakfast and lunch and snacks, and they'll be at their school site where they're already familiar, or at a school site where they're already familiar with staff and friendly faces that look like them, or maybe people from the community. So we developed this guide to help you understand and to help you know what questions to ask, how much money is coming to where, and who you can ask, what are they doing in these programs. And you can also talk to the school leaders and say, well, we would like our children to experience dance, or we would like our children to experience art, or we would like our children to experience more hands-on science, maybe they're gardening, so many different activities. And this is empowering you to understand what the funding is, how much is going around, and how much your district is receiving, and how you can ask for these types of programs. There is a little website at the bottom of that last page inside the guide, and you can click on it and it'll show you how much your school district is getting. And like Anthony mentioned before, there's up to $435 billion in the state of California for this funding. Okay, next slide, Anthony. So how to use this guide, again, it's so you can understand, it's to build awareness. You can share it with other friends or families or other neighbors. If they didn't know about the program, you can share it with them. You can physically take the copy to your school, and there's questions in there that you can ask. And we just want you parents to be, you know, informed and be empowered, and that way you can make the choices and decisions that you need to for your family that you feel is best. And when you don't have all the information, you might not know what's available and what's out there. And programs are stronger when we have community and family engagement. It makes it for a better place. It makes it for a safer place, and when everyone's involved. Okay, next slide, Anthony. One of the target populations for these programs are English language learners or multilingual learners. A lot of the staff at site speak the languages of the students that are coming to the programs. It gives them an opportunity to practice learning English in a more creative way, in a less structured way that's in the classroom, that's more fun, that's more engaging. Again, staff that looks like them, staff that can communicate with them and talk in the same languages as the students that are in the class. A lot of the programs hire multilingual staff because they know that they need to communicate to the families and the students that are there. Now, it also provides expanded care and different coordinations. If there are resources that are needed, the families usually feel more comfortable coming to the leaders if they can speak to them in their native tongue and their native language, and they can help you with find resources or answer questions that sometimes you have a hard time talking to the teacher in the daytime. Maybe they don't have the translation services. Sometimes after school can help with that. Okay, next slide. So we've given you inside the guide, in the Spanish guide. You will also find these. There's the questions that you can ask your school leaders. You can ask them, what opportunities are available here for my child? What will my child be learning? How can I make sure that my child is enrolled in summer school? Are you offering it here? Is there transportation? These answers should be yes. And then how is expanded learning building on learning during the day? Are they taking the concepts, the ideas that they are learning in the daytime, and are they expanding on those? Are they helping them understand what's going on in the daytime by making it fun and after school? The answer should be yes. And on top of that, there should be additional opportunities. The school funding has been cut, so we know sometimes the art programs aren't in school. Well, that's after school steps in, and you can have art programs and social programs. There can be events where students get to showcase their work to their parents and their community. Those types of things can be happening after school. Thank you, Anthony. Next slide. Now, if you happen to come across administration or you are attending a school board meeting, there are other questions that you can ask there. You can ask them directly. How much money are we receiving? How much money per student are we receiving in our community to make these programs accessible? And also, how does the district plan to use this money for summer programs and for after school? What's the plan? I will tell you, by law, each of these programs must have published a plan on the school's website that tells you how they are using this funding and how they are providing a quality program for your child and your children in the community. And you can question those plans and you can advocate for what's in that plan. If there's something in there that you see is missing that your child could really benefit from, ask the question, well, can we get such and so something? Can we get culinary arts? And the answer should be yes. It should be, if there's enough parents and families who want this for their children, why wouldn't they give it? Why wouldn't they do that? So the answer should be yes. So these are questions that you can ask. These are examples. On the next slide, we'll have some more examples for you of other questions that you can ask at your school or your program leader. So if you find out that there's an expanded learning program there, an after-school program there, you can ask, how does our district, how are they operating the program? Do you have enough staff? One thing that's very important to know about after-school programs is there is a required ratio. Each adult, if it's in grade 1st through 6th grade, can only be watching or caring for 20 students at a time. If they're a younger grade, TK or kindergarten, it's 1 adult for every 10 children, which is very similar to child care centers. You will find it's very similar. You will want to maybe ask, how can you help design the program? If you're a parent who's really interested, and you could even volunteer for the program, anything from teaching the children a lesson to reading books. There are opportunities for parents to get involved as well. You can ask them, what is my child going to be learning? What strengths are they going to be developing? How are they going to be communicating? Is there relationships? Are they going to be working with other peers in their age group? How do you plan to spend these 9 hours with my child during the summertime? These are all traditional questions and just fine, and they should have answers for you. But these are just some examples to get you started. Once you start that conversation, you might find that you have other questions that you want to ask your school district leaders, and that is just fine. Okay. I think we've come to the portion where we can open up some questions and answers. Also, we have it easily accessible here. Again, this presentation will be provided for you. So if you didn't happen to catch the link in the chat, this QR code you can scan with your phone. It'll take you to our website where you have access to the English and Spanish version.
Esto es
long
lo que las
and
familias
slow,
necesitan.
and you'll also have access to the videos in English and in Spanish. Additionally, Anthony and I will leave our communication information, our email address. So if there's other questions beyond today, we are happy to help you and answer any questions that you have. We want to see all your kids involved in expanded learning. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Monique. So I see some questions coming through, Estela and Adolfo. Do you want to maybe translate those questions for us and then we can
Yes.
try to answer them? Thank you.
Yes. So Yesenia asks, how can someone as a parent so how can someone as a parent ask for those types of workshops or those programs and expanded learning within the school?
So if you walk into your office, you can ask if there's an expanded learning program, who is the program manager, and get the contact information and ask the questions there. You also, if you drop your child off and see your teacher in the morning, you can ask those questions as well. Also, if you go on your school's website, there might be a section where you see after school or expanded learning. Look for the contact information of that individual and reach out and ask questions. Send an email. They all have a phone. You can make a phone call as well. Wow, Jessica, I see that she was 4 years old by that time. Were they running? I wonder if, for Jessica, if they were running a TK program and if they had the expanded learning program there at the school site. We need to ask questions, more questions.
There was a question that came from Miriam a little bit earlier up. Said solo son para estudiantes de la primaria. So is this only for students in the primary grades?
Yes.
Okay, so it depends. At your school district, this is one funding source. Your school district might have another funding source for expanded learning called ACES. It's after school education and safety. Those fundings can be for middle school and also another program called Assets could be for high school. But here's the caveat. If everybody is being served who needs to be served with the current funding at the elementary school and there's leftover monies, those monies could go to middle school and high school. It's up to the school district to determine how to spread out the money. But you can influence that. You can ask questions. You can say, are you only serving TK through 6th grade? Is there an expanded learning program at the middle school or at the high school for my child? Yep. I see a question, Miriam. You can ask how much money is allocated to elementary. In the school guide, it will show you how much money is allocated per student. That is information from 2022, 2023. The money has gone up. Inside the guide also, there is a website that's hyperlinked. It's blue. And if you click on it, you can search by your school district and it can tell you how much money that you're getting per school district. And for your specific elementary school, your administration should know that exactly because they have to budget. Yeah, we're talking a couple $1,000, $2,200 per student per year per, it's a lot of money. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. Oh yeah. Colmas.
And while we're waiting for some more questions to come in, at Partnership for Children and Youth, we're always trying to make our materials better for families. We want to make sure that we're representing the voice of families when we're working with the California Department of Education and with school districts across California. So we actually created a survey, and we would love it if you all were able, or if many of you were able to complete this survey for Partnership for Children and Youth, so we can think about how to make our materials better for families like yourself who need this information and know what to do with it as soon as they look at one of our documents. So I shared a survey. So I see a couple more questions coming through. Miriam asked Monique, I think you covered it, but if you could mention it again, what happens to the money that is not spent, or if it's not spent adequately?
Got it.
Great
So,
question.
yeah, currently that is being that is being looked at throughout the state. We are actively working with another organization who is gathering data on exactly how much money has not been spent per each of the districts. And then we are going to be advising them on how to spend that money, and or like Anthony mentioned earlier, that money, we are fighting for that money to be repurposed, because if a school district didn't use that funding, then we want it for other districts that can use it, because surely there are other students and other families that can take advantage of that money and that funding for that programming. So we are looking at each districts individually and how much money they left on the board, and we are advocating for that money to go back into the system, because as you might know, right now California as a whole is in a deficit when it comes to the budget. But we don't want them to take that money for anything else. We want that money to stay for our children, which is why we are asking parents to also help ask these questions. How are they receiving parent input? This is coming directly at a level at the school. They are taking your questions at the school, or we are encouraging you to go to the school board, because the school board and the school district are who is in charge of the money and where the money is going. So if they don't hear your voice saying, I want the money at my school for my child, or you need to have the money over here for this program, then they're going to decide what to do with that money. And it might be filtering back into something that might not be beneficial for you and your community.
Monique, there was a question by Medium. She says, from San Jose, California, I found a camp at Roosevelt facility for a fee. How can I get it for free? Does it need to be through a school?
That's a really good question. It depends on, yeah, who's running the camp. If the camp is ran by a private organization or a private center who's not receiving the grant funds from the state, they probably are charging a fee for it. But those same type of camps could be run at a school. It's up to the school district to say, we're going to run a camp here. And how would they know that families want that camp? You're going to tell them, hey, there's this other camp being ran over here at a Roosevelt facility, but they're charging, and they do all the same things that you guys can do here in the summertime. So I would love to help you plan to get that going over here at the school site so my child can take advantage of that.
I want to make sure that we honor your time and also our parents' time. So I think there isn't any more questions. But if there is, where can they contact you all, or how do they submit their questions?
Great. Yes, we have our email addresses. I think we're on the first slide, but we're going to pop them in the chat for you too.
And remember that after this webinar, we will be sharing all of the links and the PowerPoints and the videos that Anthony and Monique talked about today. And so just be ready to receive that information through your email that you registered for this webinar. Is there anything else that you all wanted to say, Anthony, Monique?
Well, yeah, one, I just want to say thank you to PIQE for the work that you all do to make, these strong, incredible network of parent leaders. When parents are using their voice and are exercising their power, that's when we see long-lasting change. So we're really honored to be here sharing with your network of strong parent leaders. And also know that Partnership for Children and Youth wants to listen and work more closely with you all in the PIQE network to make sure that we're representing your voices in Sacramento and across the state. So hopefully together they'll be hearing from parents, and they'll be hearing from us working in Sacramento with the policymakers and shapers, and collectively we can start to make the type of change that we want to see. There's already some proposals at work in California right now that we're going to be watching very closely through the budget and legislative process. And hopefully we'll be delivering even more money for these programs and getting even more funds to communities that need those types of additional resources to operate these programs. So again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening to us and this opportunity to share. And just know that your voices are powerful. Just ask the question, where are these programs? How is it being used? And that can make a big difference.
Yeah, indeed. Our email addresses are there. It doesn't matter if you email me in English or in Spanish, we will figure it out. And we are happy to respond to you and help you advocate for these programs in your area. It doesn't matter where you are in California or what funding cycle you're going through, or if you have to ask your teacher or your principal, or you're going to show up to a school board meeting and you're going to talk and ask your school board members. We can help you with the questions that you can ask. And if there's any other questions about how much funding or where to find it, just let us know. We're happy to point you in the right direction. We need your voice so much to continue this work and continue to service the students and the children throughout California. Parents are so important and they're so powerful. I just want you guys to know that you are important, that your children are important. We see you and we are here for you. This is what we do. And we are on your side, team parents and team families, 100%. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you both, Anthony and Monique, and thank you to all of our parents that showed up. Don't leave just yet because I will be giving out more information, but this is a really good segue. So, but before that, I want to thank Partnerships for Children and Youth, and Anthony and Monique. It has been incredible to work alongside you, and we really are super grateful for all of this information. With that being said, with what you said, Monique, about parents being a super powerful voice, we do have our parent ambassador network of parents that we have talked about before, where any parent here can be a parent ambassador. We have gone to do advocacy work in Sacramento, so maybe this is something that you want to do, right? Like you want to advocate for more of these programs outside of the traditional classroom. And so I invite you all, I will put a QR code that you can scan so that you can fill it out and we can be in contact with you if you want to become a parent ambassador. So these are our parent ambassadors, some of our parent ambassadors that we have now. And this is a really good connection because if you want to get involved with any organization, like Anthony and Monique said, this is such a really powerful way to do so, and we can support you and get you connected to advocate for programs like these ones that we talked about today. So thank you, Monique and Anthony. So just some upcoming events that we have. We will have a mental health webinar that is coming up. We don't have the date yet, but I will send an email out to all of you of when we will have this mental health, and we will be going over mental health for you as a parent, but also how do you support your child. I know a lot of you have asked for mental health support in regards to bullying, in regards to system navigation. So that is another webinar, so keep an eye out for that. Then we have our end of the year virtual event in June, and this is where we really want to celebrate you all for finishing another school year for yourself as a PIQE parent, but also celebrating your children. And this will be virtual, and so I will send out an email for that too. So just keep an eye out. And then if you are interested in wanting to become a PIQE ambassador, or if you have any questions or you want to give us any feedback on how we can improve our webinars or what topics you want to see, maybe you want to see something in specific from us in terms of a webinar topic, scan the QR code, fill it out. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Adolfo. This is Adolfo's email, or myself, Estela. And we will be happy to guide you. And so after this webinar, I will be sharing all of the links and all of the information that was shared, as well as the video recording. So take a minute to scan the QR code, and once you have done that, feel free to hop off the Zoom and have a wonderful day, and thank you all for showing up.